Now, I haven't been a fan of many light-skinned brothers in real life. I probably only have like 3 or 4 light-skinned dudes that I'm actually like friends with. There's one that like I consider my brother, like my brother. Actually, there's 2 that I consider my brother. But the other 2, they're real cool, and like they almost have brother status, but they're cool dudes, and I consider them hybrid. I don't really consider any of those men that I'm talking about to be true light-skinned niggas. You know what I'm saying? These guys are hybrid. They got some melanated, some extra melanated tendencies, and that's why I rock with them.
Bro, it's rap. It's rap music. I know you're not used to hearing no. I get it. It's that light skin thing you got going on. I get it. But you're not the same guy you were anymore. Gotta figure it out, but this ain't it, bro. This ain't it.
Sometimes, like, some of like my blackest friends can be just as cruel on the other end, by making you feel excluded, or making you feel like you can't get in on this. and sometimes I do feel like if, sometimes I don't feel celebrated when I know maybe somebody else would be celebrated for those accomplishments. I don't feel like people say when Drake is the artist of the decade, I don't think anybody says, wow, a black artist is the artist of the decade. I don't think anybody says that, really. I never heard anybody say that in the last few weeks. And I associate I associate myself as a black man.
So you all just got an opportunity to see 3 very quick clips in succession that, in my opinion, these clips explain the reason why Drake doesn't go on more, one of the reasons why Drake doesn't go on more traditional hip hop podcasts. Saying traditional is to say black, right? That's, even though it's really an overblown criticism of Drake, but I believe that in recent years that there is some truth to that, but it is 100% justified. And those clips that you all just saw at the start of the show are a good illustration of why, right? Simply put, Drake is reluctant, in my opinion, to go on more traditional hip hop podcasts because the hosts are untrustworthy and disrespectful. Untrustworthy meaning, name me the host of some of the bigger, more popular traditional hip hop podcasts that you would trust not to try to throw an I gotcha question at Drake. Because there's not one that I would be shocked if they asked him something out of left field just to try to catch him off guard. Oh, that just means he doesn't want to have to answer tough questions. Go to hell. Y'all are a Barbara Walters all of a sudden. When y'all interview Clips, when y'all interview, JID, when y'all interview, many rappers that have come out with projects this year, there are all kinds of controversial questions you all could have asked them and you didn't. You didn't, right? None of you asked Malice. By the way, I'm not suggesting that they should have asked Malice this. This is none of their business. But for example, none of you asked Malice, hey, you left secular music to become a Christian artist. Now you're back rapping with your brother. The last album y'all recorded together, you didn't say a curse word in that album. But on this album, you sound like Malice from 2002, right? You're saying curse words, you're rapping about, topics that you sort of begin to steer away from a bit just prior to your departure from the group. What changed? Why are you using profanity again? Why are you rapping about these other subjects again? Now, again, I have no problem with it. And I don't think that anybody should have a problem with it, nor do I think anyone should even ask those questions of him, because it's none of their business. But no one has asked him that question in all the interviews that they've done. And not one of you has had anything to say about it. You know why? Because it's none of our business and we all know it. But if Drake were to go on some of these same podcasts, you all would be writing letters into the Joe Budden podcast or into, I don't know, some of these streamers shows, Kai Cenat and others, in the Breakfast Club and whomever, right? And I'm not lumping in Kai with some of these other ones, but the point I'm making is all of a sudden everyone wants to be a serious journalist now when it comes to Drake going on these more traditional hip hop podcasts. These hosts are disrespectful and untrustworthy. That's why Drake doesn't go on there. They don't even respect Drake's blackness, right? This is why I showed those clips in the beginning of the show. And I suspect that it has something to do with the reasons that the two content creators clips that you saw prior to the Drake clip, I suspect that it has something to do with some of the same lunacy, the same idiotic things that they were saying, right? In the first clip, the guy talking about, he was talking about light-skinned and dark-skinned people like they were dog breeds. I mean, that doesn't bother any of y'all. This is a sickness. This is a sickness that is particularly something that Black Americans, that my people here in America suffer from. And the only way that we are going to get rid of this sickness is by properly identifying it and doing something about it. Right? That first clip shows the ugly side of why Drake doesn't like to go on more traditional hip hop podcasts, which again is to say Black spaces, right? This guy's talking about a hybrid. Like, in his head, he really believes there is a fundamental difference between light-skinned people, Black people, and dark-skinned Black people. That's a problem. And that's crazy, right? If you believe that light-skinned Black people are inherently more attractive or inherently get more, opportunities, or inherently are happier in life, because that's a self-esteem problem. That is not the problem of dark-skinned people or light-skinned people. That is stupid. And people need to say that more often. That's dumb. Don't tell me about the time when you were in the 7th grade and somebody picked the light-skinned person over you and you're a dark-skinned. I don't want to hear that. That's your anecdotal evidence from your life. And maybe that person was a colorist. Maybe they were. But on its face, that arc of a story I just told is not enough data to determine if someone is colorist or not. That's self-esteem, y'all. And don't get angry at me for saying that. It's the truth. Okay? In the second video, the young lady, all right? The young lady is talking about, she says something about like, what was the term she used? She said something like, you're not used to being told no. It's the light skin thing, right? That is a masterclass in projection, right? This is rooted in low self-esteem. This is rooted in low self-esteem, y'all. And this is stupid. There's nobody's fawning over light-skinned people because they're light-skinned. Because if you're light-skinned and unattractive, you're still unattractive. Your skin tone ain't gonna help you. If you're light-skinned and uneducated, you're still uneducated. No one is going to give you opportunities because you're an unintelligent and uneducated light-skinned guy or light-skinned woman. That's stupid. We gotta stop this, man. You all saw the third clip of Drake. You know, it was an older clip, but he was breaking down the dichotomy between how he's treated, because he's both, right? He's a black man who has had, you know, tons of accolades in music. And he mentioned like, yo, like when I have a huge accomplishment, such as being, you know, named Artist of the Decade, which happened around that time, I don't hear anybody saying, hey, that black man won Artist of the Decade, right? And Drake is a great person because, you know, I know he wants to tell y'all to go straight to hell so bad, but he won't do it because he loves his people that much. He really does. So imagine how disappointed Drake must be to have come to America, I should say the American music industry, to dominate the way he has, and then to be told that it's his Jewish side that's getting him into all these doors. Not his talent, not his hard work, not his focus, him being half Jewish. As if being Jewish is just a cakewalk, right? It's just sunshine and rainbows being a Jew. That is insane. And you all sound ignorant. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. Are there Jewish people in high positions in certain, businesses, in certain business sectors? Sure. There are also high-ranking black people in certain business sectors. There are also high-ranking white people and Hispanic people, right? And Indian people in certain business sectors that seem to dominate certain business sectors, right? No question about that. But you all talk about being Jewish as if it's some superpower that gets you into any door, as if Jewish people don't face their own discrimination, that don't face their own, obstacles simply being Jewish, much less being Jewish and black, or Jewish and a woman, right? Or Jewish and uneducated or unattractive or whatever other things you want to add to that. This is stupid, y'all. And I gave you all, again, in the start of the show here, 2 great examples of perfectly intelligent, capable black people who aren't kids. These weren't 18-year-olds. These weren't 15-year-olds saying these dumb things. These were 2 grown-ups, right? Saying the dumbest things you've ever heard about how they see Drake's blackness, but not only his. In the case of that first clip with the gentleman, he expressed how he sees his own friends' blackness, right? And how he sort of quantifies their blackness based on them being light skinned or not. He didn't even say mixed. He said light skin. He knows the exact amount of light skinned and dark skinned friends he has. Do you know how insane that sounds? We got to figure this out, y'all. We got to do better because this is lunacy.